Welcome to Art with Janine Liza. In this video, I'm sharing a painting of a moonlit forest using mainly black and white paint, but also some hints of blue and green. Some of this painting was recorded in time-lapse. In this video clip, I am sketching the areas for the moon and the trees. Then I use a sponge and create some grays and start dabbing that on. And this kind of gives me a feel for where I want the light and dark to be in this piece. Then I begin to scratch in the lines for the moon and the trees where I would like them to be. And this sort of leaves indentations in on the canvas in the paint so that I can see where I want to put those trees. Then I start to sponge dab on some values of the gray. And I include a little blue and green in some of this, just to add some more hue to it. And here I'm highlighting the moon, and I had that indented circle. Sometimes you can use a lid to just sort of twist on the canvas to get that indent while the paint's still wet. With the sponge technique, I'm going back and forth with the light and dark values here until I get the shape I'm looking for the top of the trees. I used a toothbrush to spatter a few stars at the top of the painting, and then I used a size 4 round brush to start following those indented lines to paint trees. And I'm just doing these in black and then, defining the moon a little bit more. Sometimes turning the canvas upside down helps me to reach the places I need to reach without smudging the paint. And now I'm painting in some of the deciduous trees. And there are no leaves on them, so this is definitely a winter scene. It's been a while since I painted this. I think it was the end of 2019. But I found all these videos the other day and I thought, why not share them? This painting is actually up on the wall of a family member's cottage now. It was a piece that I did as a sort of practice run for a friend who wanted me to do a commissioned piece for them. They had an idea of kind of looking up at the sky where the trees kind of close in a circle. This was their first idea for the commissioned piece. And so I painted this as an example, and then they realized that their vision for the painting was a little different than that. So we worked together. I asked for some images that we could compile, and we created a custom composition with all the components of their envisioned painting. So here I am carefully painting those small branches and just sort of putting in with the black against the light background. It really makes them pop, and I love the way this one turned out. At the end of this video, I will share the image of the completed commissioned piece, that this was just a very small part of the beginnings of. The final commissioned piece is actually the profile picture currently for my YouTube channel. It's the winter scene with the birch trees and the evergreens and the air glow type constellation with the beautiful moon and its light shining on everything. As I go along, I add a little green to some of the black in order to just put a hint of color in there. Even though it's a silhouette against the bright moonlight or even the light beams from a car shining into the forest, it could be. I just wanted to have that hint of green in the dark values. This portion of the video has been sped up. The lighter area on the painting had dried considerably before I started to paint more details on the deciduous trees. Acrylic paint can be quite clumpy, so I use a little bit of tissue to sort of wipe the edge of the brush before trying to do these smaller branches. The sponge technique that was applied first and is practically dried by now also contributes to some of the texture on the branches of the evergreens. Here I'm mixing some green and then some blue in with the black, just to add a hint of those colors to the trees. Now I'm switching between the size 4 filbert brush and a size 4 round brush. So I can do some little tiny bits on the edges of the trees here. So now I'm using the palette knife to paint these deciduous trees, and this one's going to be a birch tree. So I've added some gray, and now I'm adding a bit of white. And then I'm probably going to go back to a little bit of the darker value in order to just sort of, mix those values a bit and create a really nice texture on the tree. So I'll go back and forth using the very edge of the palette knife. Looks like I have a darker grey on one side of the palette knife and white on the other side. There you go. And now I've switched to what looks like a size 6 filbert brush. And I usually use this brush to create leaves, and it looks like I'm using it to highlight some of the branches and the evergreen sprigs on these trees. I'm carefully placing a few specks at the top of the tree, and then it seems like I'm doing a stippling, but there's a bit of an order to it. I'm kind of going in a rhythm, leaving gaps of the black showing through, and sort of trying to follow along where there could be a branch, sort of envisioning it as I go. After applying this layer, I will go back and forth between the light and darker value in order to achieve the look of the branches that I'm hoping for. And now with the smaller size 4 filbert brush, I'm going to delicately apply a layer of what could be snow or light to the top of the branches. Now I'm painting a little bit in reverse because I am painting the branches on top of the darker evergreen. I'm using very light grey paint or white paint to paint the fine branches of the deciduous tree that's in front of it. In this sped up portion of the video, I'm going to be continuing to fill in some of the spaces with more trees using the palette knife and the brush. Knowing that I might share this video someday, I was showing the camera how I was using the filbert brush. So I was tilting the brush this way and that, and it's a size 4 round. The filbert brush is a flat brush, but it's curved at the end, so you get specific shapes out of it. It's really handy for doing leaves and texture on trees. With this brush, I'm adding a layer of grey to the trees. Then I will add a little white into the mix and lighten it up a little bit and put some random specks here and there on the branches, just creating these layers that will create a lot of depth in the trees. And then I'm going to apply some white paint very carefully on the tops of these shapes, just to give a little bit of an effect of snow. And now I'm filling in the parts where my arm was mostly stretched over the canvas, and I didn't want to put too much paint down there. So I'm just filling in the base of the trees here as I wrap up the painting. There's the completed piece. I think at one point I called it Headlights in the Forest or Moonlit Forest. Either way, it worked out how I had planned, and I was really happy with the piece. Thank you for visiting Art with Janine Liza, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you are enjoying the videos on this channel and you'd like to help this community grow, please feel free to click subscribe. Art with Janine Liza started out as just art classes, but now it has expanded to offer a variety of playlists for many areas of creativity. Feel free to check it out, and I hope you find some more videos that you can enjoy. As mentioned, here is an image of the commissioned piece that was completed in early 2020 with all of the components that my friend had hoped for. I named it Walking in the Light. You can also find a time-lapse of this artwork being created on my commissioned Artworks by Janine Liza playlist on Art with Janine Liza YouTube.